passenger sits on his broken soul. No, I don't want your number. No, I don't wanna give you mine. And no, I don't wanna meet you nowhere. No, don't want none of your time. And no, I don't want no scrub. The scrub is the guy that can't get no love from me. Hanging on the passenger side of his best friend's ride, trying to holler at me. I don't want no scrub. The scrub is the guy that can't get no love from me. Hanging on the passenger side of his best friend's ride, trying to holler at me.
I mean, everything.
Because they are some for real scrubs, for real.
For real scrubs. I mean, that song just.
Scrub Daddy.
I just love that song. Just love that song. I'm so sorry. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Where's your coffee? What were you telling me? No coffee?
I am at the bottom of my coffee, and I've been having a hard time figuring out, should I have iced coffee?
Ooh.
Should I have the blast? They got that because it's freaking hot.
You are so in the heat wave. What is happening?
Listen, I don't even know what's happening. It is so hot. It's on fire. In fuego.
In fuego. I actually thought you were going to do it perhaps with the 70s tube top on today, because
I was thinking about it. I was going to get my t-shirt and tuck it in, and I was going to jump in the hose.
Oh my gosh. There we are. Let's welcome to my childhood. Somebody go get a fire plug wrench. Turn that thing on. Let's go. We got to do it.
It has been out of control.
It has been, really. And I talked to Katie as well in Phoenix, and she was like, don't even.
It's like 120.
Yes. She's like, I have to go shopping. I can't go outside. I can't go outside. Yeah.
And what are you even supposed to do? I mean, there's nothing. You can only get to naked.
But I would say, for me, and I don't know if anybody else is like this, like when it's really warm out, I lose my appetite. I don't want to eat. I'm like, ugh, no. And so
I can't eat another salad. I cannot. Oh. I can't.
Don't tell me. I got weighed this morning, so I'm down to 188.2. And so I'm, all beefed up and doing what I got to do. And it's because of salads. And I'm with you.
Listen, I am down 30 pounds.
Man, that was some big uterus.
But it is from eating like half a hot dog. I can't eat any more salads.
Did you hear what I said?
No, I wasn't listening to you.
I said, man, that was some big uterus.
Ginormous. That uterus.
Oh my God.
I did have to do my follow-up, by the way, this week. I had to do my surgery follow-up, and I was like, so how'd it go? Like,
I was asleep or, not really with it. So
everything went fine.
I mean,
it's still healing. It's really weird. It's just weird. But, I'm getting to my new normal and learning what that is.
Pain-free.
Yeah. I don't even know what that's like. So every day I'm like, is this pain?
Am I feeling pain? What am I feeling?
Is this what pain feels like?
Well, by the way, for those of you who don't follow us on social, what is wrong with you? But
really,
I mean, you put a picture out. What was it? A couple days ago about this is 50 and stunning.
Right?
I think you should do a 2024 calendar, because I also saw you posted something about 2024 coming.
Yes, because I was like, I need you to play full out, because people we had I'm gonna tell one on my peers. I hope they don't get mad, but we were talking about just some of the stuff that we've been working on, and people were like, yeah, we want to do this. We're gonna have it done by end of the quarter. I was like, end of the quarter?
Yeah.
It's about to be August.
Right.
It better be the end of the month.
Well, and let's also, I don't know what it's like for you, but we have so many people who are on vacation from now till the end of August.
Yes.
So that messes up timelines, and it delays things because of it.
I need you full out. I need full dedication. I mean, we need to work together. I mean, I will say, and I've worked at home forever. So, you know, but when you are with a large organization and you're remote, it can be hard to hunker down. You really have to inspire the team. It's time for us to hunker down and get through this.
Inspire the team. Hence, let's come full circle. So you're putting the calendar together for 2024. Yes, that's
That's
what
right.
we're doing. It's an
I am.
inspirational.
I'm really excited about some of the stuff I'm working on. I will tell you, even though I did see capacity planning and I got a little rash, just a little, because I was like,
Well, I mean, it's a real topic because if I hear someone else use the term busy, I'm gonna be flipping tables pretty soon. I'm just
listen,
gonna be flipping
I
tables.
know. And when you think about it, we did more, and I'm sorry to jump so abruptly into the topic, but I was thinking about it when we're thinking about the team, right? Like we were trying to get everything together, and it's like, what is our capacity? Like, what are we up to? Like,
Yeah.
where are we getting at? And I am, because of the organization I work for, of course, talking a lot about ML and AI and language learning. I've been talking
Oh,
about it for so many years, and I'm about to hurt some people.
yes. Yes. HR violence is the best.
It is. It is the best.
Good morning, Steve Brown. I mean, really.
I didn't even. I'm in my house instead of my office because of the temperature. But I was like, I keep wanting to show his book. I'm so excited. I'm honored.
It's wonderful. Steve Brown. Woo. Uh, the ability for HR people though to sort of help with capacity, I am going to really now irritate people, and I really don't mean to.
No.
We aren't really taught how to handle or what to do with capacity. Really, I mean, think about it in your career, either as in talent acquisition or in traditional HR function. We don't get taught how to be considerate of capacity, not only for self but for any employee.
We don't. And it seems like that should be the first thing that we do. Like, we want to take on a new challenge. Okay, what's your capacity? Crickets.
Crickets, or the default of, well, I know I'm busy. What in the world does that mean? Like, I know, but what often is the issue is, and people, the first step I think with some of this is when you're working and you're working at a particular level for an extended period of time, you use the term new normal, honestly, at the onset, like that becomes your normal. You're like, this is baseline for me.
That's right.
And you use that in your brain to justify what your level of busyness is, because this is what busy looks like. You've been doing this for this extended period of time. This feels like the cadence of work. I'm busy. So when someone gives me something else to do, I'm like, woo, I can't. I'm like, you know.
I also, and don't assume for somebody else. Now, to be fair,
No.
my schedule is ridiculous. But I know it doesn't look like normal for other people. But it's like you're saying, like that's my capacity. And I run that speed for my own mental health. I know it looks like I need more self-care. More self-care will just get me in more trouble. I have not been at that pace where it's like, okay, I'm gonna, like, if I can't, there's things I can't do during the day. Like some people will say, take an extended lunch or go and take a walk or go and do these things. Like I have to time them at different times or else I won't be able to ramp up. It takes me a while to ramp into my day.
Yep.
And I like to work and extend that further. And I know there's things that my self-care looks different. Like my self-care is volunteering. To other people, that looks like work.
Yes.
That's self-care because I'm forcing myself to go out in the community. I'm forcing myself to go out and work with different people and get a different venue. But for some people, it looks like work. And what happens a lot is people will call me and say, I know you're busy. And I'm like, how do you know I'm busy?
Right. Where's the camera? How do you know what's going on for me here?
Right.
So,
I love what Steve said. And I love the use of the word bemoan. We tend to bemoan how overwhelmed we are. We need to help measure capacity for ourselves and equip people managers. It helps reduce the chance for burnout.
what, first of all, we can't handle all of these terms and definitions. Let's stop with.
But I'm giving you a clap.
Oh, I thought you were doing tiny hands because those of you that aren't aware, Steve Brown has a some sort of fetish with tiny hands and tiny feet, and he's really kind of weird.
Does he want people to know about that? I
He
don't know.
has a Finsta that's all about tiny.
That Right? That was completely unnecessary. Look, you turning colors.
But now you're going to look it up and be like, wait, when we're done, let me see if I
Tiny
find tiny
hands.
hands Steve
Hashtag
Brown. Yes. Ooh, look at him. Wait, he is flipping out right now, just so we're clear. I, I would want, if I could be an encouragement, kind of step one encouragement for this, I think that what's really helpful for us to do, it's not always easy to do physician heal thyself. So often I try to tell HR practitioners, you may be the worst example of capacity consideration to your organization. So don't start with you. Go and be a resource to others. Pick a small team and just sit with them and say, how busy do you all feel? Super busy. Why? What does that look like?
That's right.
Is it because things take so long to get done? Is it because things are piling up? More is being added to you than you're able to get off your desk? Is because that's a volume consideration, not a time consideration, right? Like ask the question around resources. Do you have access to what you need in order to finish things that you have to finish? That's not time, that's not volume, that's resources, right? So that's just three to start with. Ask good questions so that people can unpack. And I will tell you, it will break hearts at times because I've sat with teams and come back and said, I've got great news. Awesome. What is it? You're operating at 80% capacity. And they're like, your mom.
You're like, I quit. It's like, I'm done. I'm
done. And I try to say to them, please don't think I'm like writing you up because you're operating at 80% capacity. Number one, that's what we've allowed. And that's how we've built constructs to let 80% feel like 100%. That's our fault. That may not necessarily be your fault. So just hang on. But now what do we do about that? Or how can we better handle that? I'm not asking you now to go from 80 to 100. I might need to look at the way work flows. What are the structures? Who's responsible for what? Do we really need three people to touch the same exact thing? Can we just have one or two people do it instead? Like, let's fix some of the systemization of stuff. We are so, I don't know if you've worked in places where, Lord, when I was in banking and finance, like, this is my lane. This is how I operate. I've done this for 40 years. Don't touch the stamps on my desk. These are my ink pads. And you're like, okay, everyone take a breath. If you're going to die over an ink pad, I'm taking the ink pad off your desk just to make you frustrated. Like,
and watching.
And like, that cannot be the marker. Like, I'm so busy, I know exactly where it is so that when I'm stamping checks, boom, 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 boom. Like, okay, that doesn't mean that you're busy. It might mean you have carpal tunnel, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're busy.
And it does mean carpal tunnel. I would say, I can ask you to find the corners in a round room and you'll be busy.
Yeah.
All day. But that doesn't mean being productive. But it's also, now this rolls back into what we keep talking about performance management and setting expectations for that capacity. Because sometimes, especially I'm a startup person, so that's my sweet spot. I work with startups, and as you're going through, there's a lot that you have to double up on your roles, sometimes triple up on your roles, but you have to let people know what is being expected, because then you wait till your annual review to tell somebody that they're not at capacity. And then when you're looking at it, you have to count a person as like half a person.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it doesn't look, it's not a good look, by
It's
the way.
not a good look. Oh my gosh, that's the second time. So there's a blog going out today that I wrote, and I used the phrase "that's not a good look" for the company. That's so
Because
funny.
it is
It's
so not
not.
a good
It's
look
not a
because
good look.
you're supposed to be paying equal pay for equal work. And if you, so let's make sure that you're actually doing that. But I'll tell you, I love Textio, but I love my boss and I get astounded by my boss so often. So yesterday I was like, I've got this plan. I'm doing a coaching plan for all of managers. I'm going to do this. She was like, how often do you plan on doing it? I was like, I don't know. And then I must have had a look on my face. I was like,
That's hard
every
to imagine.
month. And I was like, every quarter. And then
What's the
Kieran,
right answer?
my boss goes, I have an idea. How about you say, hey, I want to try this new thing. Do it once with 4 people, feel it out,
Yeah.
and then say, oh, get the feedback. How often would you like to do that? Okay. And if it feels like you can do that. And I was like, why didn't I think of that? I instantly was going to go in and run way over capacity. And I
Yep.
had all of these other things that I didn't consider because I was so excited about my idea. And then it's like, I have to think of that. And it's up to you as management and as HR to make sure that you don't burn those people out, or else you have to have, because it's like, if you're not going to be working at capacity, then I need to ramp up in talent acquisition
Yep.
because
Yep.
we're going to have a high turnover. If you're not, and the worst is when I haven't been managing this and now I'm asking you to do more work for the same pay you got last month to these
Yep.
people who've been skating by for years.
Well, and I think, and listen, pay is a really difficult one. So someone published a report, which I'm saying it the way that I'm saying it because I'm not really sure that it's going to stand up. But someone published a report governmentally saying last month wages outpaced inflation. Now, yes, what I want to say for those of you that read that report, what I want to say is when you look at math in a vacuum for only 30 days and don't take the exponential incremental increases from the previous months, then of course it looks like perhaps wages did better than inflation in 30 days. That's actually not true over the long term. So don't everybody get it twisted and now be freaking out that we're overpaying people. That's what that now means. Go to the grocery store and shop and then tell me if we're overpaying.
That's right.
So, and I'm not saying that necessarily means that we can rise to honestly meet it all. Like, look, y'all, I'm so sorry to say this out loud. This is going to be heartbreaking for some of you. You may need to substitute Whole Foods for Jim's big grocery store. Like you may not be able to get organic red beets for every meal. And I'm sorry. FYI, the red beet price will come down if we don't go to Whole Foods and pay the ridiculous prices.
Turns out.
Will come down. So just so everybody knows. But what pay you are giving people right now because you've not checked capacity or had, maybe even more importantly, conversation about it. There may be times where you start people in your organization and this is the level of pay you're giving them, and they are not yet working to the level of actually what it is that they're earning. That does happen. And it makes sense that it happens because they're getting acclimated. There may be new parts of this job that they've taken that they've not done before. There are reasons, but you are investing in them for the long haul. The second that they may get to the level that you're paying them, and if the conversation is, well, you better start paying me more if you're going to ask me to do something else, you have had to have had that conversation all along to say, I know I'm paying more than what you're providing for us at the moment because we believe you're going to grow up and into this capacity. And that's why we're in advance paying for things.
And it's our job to get you there.
Yes.
So we're gonna add a little bit, and you're gonna learn more skills. This will fall into that percentage. It's not asking you to do more. Eventually, this will fit and go right in. And I think people forget that. Like you work out, it's like, sure, maybe at the beginning, obviously, by your guns out.
Sorry. Keep going as I take this off. Go
So
ahead.
as you know, you can't do one push up the first day. It's past capacity. The more that you're doing it, it becomes easier. You'll be able to do those things easier. And a lot of these things are to make your job easier. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like it immediately because it sounds and feels like more work. I think that's something that happens for me with DEIB when I'm asking people to stop what they're doing to
Yeah.
come participate in these activities. It feels like more work or getting in the way, but it's really going to help you in the long run because we're trying to make sure that you feel more productive and people feel included. And the more people feel included, that they'll have higher capacity when they feel like they have more opportunities to share the things that they want to share with the organization. They will grow.
Well, if you're a reasonable HR person, and these
You
are,
say reasonable.
listen, I know, reasonable HR person, because I mean, we both have been in the company of unreasonable HR
You're
people.
talking to 30%. You're talking.
Right, right. If
I
you
got
want to know who the reasonable HR people are, come sit with us.
That's
Come
right.
sit with us because that's where we are. But the 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 organization that you might be a part of, where the knee jerk response from people of I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy, and we respond by saying, as the HR practitioner, let me go to finance and say we are going to have to hire more people. I would highly recommend, before that is the approach that you take, that you do some due diligence on what do I understand busy to mean? Because if you keep going to finance and the only solution, in your professional opinion, is we just need to hire more, when finance pushes back and says, well, we can't, now what?
Listen, because none of those people, by the way, those people going to ask for more money, they didn't have black moms. As soon as somebody says to me, I'm busy, I'm like, doing what?
Yes,
Doing what? What you
yeah,
doing?
look
Okay,
at
don't do that. I can't imagine. And we don't have McDonald's money. So we're not getting more people. We
that's
don't have more people money.
yes.
And that, see, uh, why you always do this to me?
I know, I get you. I know the right
Because
thing to
those
say.
same people are going to be mad when you're like, okay, we're going to have to let people go. Those same people are going to be mad. And it's like, look, we need to have these adjustments to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing at that capacity. And if you can't, we need to find more people,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. And it's because, and look, how many of us have been in layoff, reduction in force situations
Right.
where, by the way, as an aside, it's necessary at times. I'm sorry, everyone. It is necessary at times because the economies change, top line revenue changes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, um, when we say, well, there's 6 of you in this department, we're going to have to let one person go from this department. Ooh, how many conversations I've had to have
We
with
should
those.
do it like Survivor. Like, y'all vote. Who are we voting off the island?
And then you have to share it with everybody. One vote, Jackye.
The
You know,
tribe has spoken.
one vote, John.
Yeah. And then you give them a minute to
One
talk it
vote,
out.
John.
And then we'll have another vote.
One vote, John. Wait. And you know, I'm sitting there analyzing everybody's handwriting. Ooh, I know who wrote John on that one.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm laughing. Kendra said single moms of all colors. I only had a black mom. I don't know. That's the only example I have. I'm always like,
Oh no, listen, I didn't have a single mom, but don't say busy to my mom. If I was like, Mom, I can't, I'm busy. Busy? Do you know what I do in a day? That was it then. You were
my
like,
mom, there used to be this song, and I don't know. And I always say no charge to my children. I'm like, and there's this song like, for all the months I carried you, no charge. And it's like, all because it was about a kid who asked for allowance and said, you should pay me for doing this work. And she's like, for all the meals I served to you, no
I know.
charge.
It is something. I mean, oh my gosh, Kai, I can't read all that. Hold on. But what I used to sing, is this the little boy I carry? That's exactly
Right,
what I would be like. Stop.
right. I like that too. But I still tell my children, I told TJ, I was like, you tore my perineum, I owe you nothing.
Yeah.
And then I say, don't Google that. Do not Google that. He asked a health major and he found out and he told me.
Oh my gosh. But Kai, thanks for this. It's true, right? What call it prioritization or whatever, but there are times when people are focusing their work on less impactful activities.
That's
Y'all, those of you who have had, I'm going to say the privilege because I'm afraid to use another word. Those who've had the privilege to sit in some executive coaching with me, you know I'm always going to get us down to highest and best use. What
yes.
is the highest and best use for who you are and the role that you have and the skill sets you're bringing to the table, all the competencies? What's the highest and best use? And if you want me to believe that it's the stamper for the back of the checks for 7 hours, listen, if that's your only duty, then yeah, it is. That's the highest and best use. We hired you to stamp the back of all the checks. But if that's not it, and you just feel safe because the stamp is what you can control, I know what this person is.
Say
Safe.
that again, because it's what you can control. That
Yeah.
feels a lot more comfortable.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm
And
laughing at Terrence Moline. Listen, I know he heard it. They sang it at the church on Mother's Day. Every Mother's Day. No charge. They say it. I mean, and
the
you know my
damage,
dad was a reverend, and I'd
the
be like, please
damage
stop. Just
we've
stop.
done, the
No
damage.
charge. I wish we're gonna have to play it one of these days. You know, we have to play it one of these
And it is, Kai, I was just going to say this word too. When people are like, well, I'm multitasking. Well, so am I. Watch, I'm talking and now I'll drink and then I'm going to talk again. I just did 2 tasks.
That's
What does that
right.
make? What does that make me? The
Well, it's
idea,
also wait
yeah,
now. The other thing that needs to trickle back down is that making sure that people are aware of the business priorities. I
yes,
made my team align everything that they do, which business priority, if this is helping. And if it isn't helping one of these things, then you just can't do it. And I'm one of those crazy managers. Like, I hate it when people talk to my team and they're like, sure, I can help you. I'm like, no, no. Because this is, let me tell you what you're being evaluated. It's not
yeah,
that. So I
yeah.
don't care how many times you do that. That's not going to count. You're not getting extra credit. Like, we need to make sure that these business needs get done. You are not going to get paid extra credit. Oh, they got.
That
You
is,
have to play that song by the end of the show.
Clarence, I don't want to participate in your trauma. Don't be sharing
No,
this.
you have to.
I will say, Jamie, by the way, you don't get extra credit. Another great T-shirt. But the idea of people thinking that it's twofold, that will count for something. You have to contextualize that. So I had a conversation with a client this week who we were sort of just refining how things are getting done and trying to make some improvements. And the client said to me, I have a feeling, and he was speaking about a particular person on the team. He said, I have a feeling that so-and-so is actually doing more things for us than our contract says he should be doing. And I was like, oh. And he said, because if we ask, he'll be like, oh, sure, sure, sure. And I said, listen, this is what I want to tell you. Probably true. He's probably doing more than you're paying us for. So thanks for letting me know. I'll be sending you an invoice. But besides that, honestly, I would rather work with people who defer to how can I be helpful and extend in that way so that it's my responsibility or leadership's responsibility to come up alongside that person, like you're saying, and sort of bring them back down a little bit, rather than trying to deal with people who are like, not my job, not my job, not my job. I don't want that attitude. I'd rather work with people that are seeking to be helpful and help them to understand
Well,
actually how.
you say that, but I am telling you,
I don't want people who are like, it's not my job, it's not my job, it's
not my job. But we have to also make sure that people aren't doing much and being taken advantage of, and that
Correct.
happens in underrepresented groups. And
For
especially, I say again, especially Black women. I say especially Black women, but what I mean, that's all I know, right? So that's what I've experienced. Where then all of a sudden you want to get the pay for the work that you're doing,
right,
or you want to get the title for the work that you're doing,
yep.
And then it's like, no, hard pass. But so we want the person that says either not that attitude, or what can I take off? What, look, this is what I'm working on. What can I either, redirect to somebody else? Is there someone else? What task can you take off my plate? Because some people like are doing more than they should. Some people have a problem with prioritization, and a lot of times they're pulled in a lot of directions. And so we also have to manage that. I have to manage that for my team.
That's our job.
To make sure.
Yeah.
I know. I said that yesterday, and my executive producer was like, That's literally the job. So I had to walk out the bedroom. I was like, you know what? He was like, that's the
Yeah.
job.
But and that's
And
and
it
that
is the job.
it is the job. I mean, listen, thank God that you and I work in the companies we work in, right, for the benefit of everybody else. That's supposed to be what we do, because when you are working with someone, or I'm working with someone as a colleague who is, I'm going to say, younger in experience, right, in the industry. It has nothing to do with age, but younger in experience. There's an eagerness there that is desired, right, that we want to see, but we have to help to direct it and have it be something that's treated equitably and respectfully, and also help them to understand, by doing these things, here's what we're looking for, here's how you're being measured, you were talking about a few minutes ago, or here are the things that are going to help us to know you may be ready for additional responsibilities, that, next promotion or title change or new vertical of support, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Cast that out, right? Let people know what it is, because when people add stuff to their current role, when you ask them if how's it going, and they say I'm busy, and they're doing 20% of stuff that they're really not supposed to be doing, technically
Right.
speaking, we have to address that. You can't
Right.
just let it go and be like, well, she's great, or he's a good guy. That may be true, but that's not the reason to take advantage of them for these things, right?
That's
Their
right.
capacity's out of whack
That's
because
right.
of,
I mean, or make those things clear. Like
yeah.
with our inclusion council, made it very clear we're not. You are not getting an hour off of the task when it comes to capacity planning. That still is. We're still expecting that to be met,
Yeah.
and we're not able to pay for those types of resources. So we want to make sure that the lift is not as heavy, and we have to have those conversations because that one is pretty tough. And I think that as we grow within our knowledge, what we learn about what's going on with the business, we have to share those at the same time to make sure that those priorities that we're catching up, because a lot of times you look back and it's too late by the time you figure that out.
Yeah, it is way too late. And I have, speaking of songs, I have sung, right, Carol King's "It's Too Late," right, to managers who are like, well, I think I could probably, save this person. They're pretty angry, they're pretty frustrated, but I'm pretty sure I could save them.
And
And
John says, dum, dun, dum, dun, 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 dun. Well, it's
it's
too
too
late,
late,
baby.
baby,
Yeah,
now.
it's too late. Though we really did try to make it.
And they're like, why is it too late? If we've allowed the person to get to angry and bitter, it's a hard road to travel to bring them
You're
back.
not going to pull those people back. And yes, and we need to be the hardest thing for me personally. And this is what I know. My bias is, and it's difficult in doing. You can't treat everyone the same way, and it is different depending on where you are within your career and
Yeah.
how much experience you have within the role. It can be very challenging to take the time to make sure that those things are very clear, especially if you're doing internal mobility. That's another piece where this is how we operate it over here, and you're operating differently over here. But it also means you have to do more than a 1 year check-in. It also
Yes.
means you need to have metrics, or you have to have your making sure that you are measuring as you go.
Work evolves. I don't know if anybody ever noticed that. There's like market changes that influence the way work is getting done. There's client or customer changes that are influencing how work gets done. They don't schedule it annually for your benefit.
Right.
So if you haven't checked in with your folks, or built in your construct of your organization for layers of check-ins, right? Then you can't be angry when someone 8 months have gone by, let's say, that you sit with them and they start telling you stuff they're doing. And you're like, I'm sorry, what? Why are you doing it for that client? Or why are you serving the customer that? That's not what we do. Well, we've been doing it at least the last 8 months. And when managers are caught unaware like that, oh my gosh, right? That's not great. It's not a good look
Yeah.
because you don't understand what's going on. And you want to know why people leave or feel that they're being taken advantage of. It's that look of surprise and shock that you've just given them, like, wait a minute, that's what you're doing? Because the first thing they're going to think is, either A, you don't know what's going on, or B, are you going to tell me I'm not supposed to be doing that and I've been doing it for 8 months? Where have you been? Right? Like that's irritating. I've scheduled, I have people, and I'm sure you have had to deal with this, who do this sneak logins, at random times of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see when that's happening. And I'm like, hey boo boo, what you doing at 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
Well, I thought of something and I didn't want to forget. Okay. How long were you on for? Because what you thought about and you didn't want to forget, I'm going to give you a minute to like give yourself a note or whatever so that it's needed, right, and then leave.
Yeah.
But it looked like you were in for 45 minutes. So what I'd like to ask you is your keyboard broken? Number one. And you were unable to type. And so you were trying to figure out another way to make it work so that you could type your note. So is your keyboard okay?
Right.
Like, yes, John, my
Do you need a pen?
Right. But what happened to any Post-it notes or pens in your hand without having to log in? Tell me what happened. Can I send you a pack of Post-it notes? Would that be okay? I do have access to your home address. Am I allowed to send something to your home? And the eye rolls happen. You're ridiculous. I know I'm ridiculous. That's my calling in life. But I also will balance that with, why are you logging in at 10 o'clock?
Yes.
What's happening?
Yes.
You feel like am I making you feel like you have to log in at 10 o'clock at night in order for the work to be done at a level that makes sense? No, you're not making me feel that way. Okay. Who is making you feel that way? Keep peeling this stuff back, because quite frankly, capacity is connected to all this. You have to understand the construct of where it comes from. If someone is saying my favorite words, my last job, ... You aren't in your last job. You're in this job. So what you bringing this last job stuff here for?
And where's your career map? Which, I mean, it's right up there with like succession planning. I mean, I know. Like, are people being clear about the competencies to the next level? I mean, and keep in mind, your CEOs and people, they don't want you to do any of that work. They've never heard of any of that. They don't know what you're talking about, and they think your job is easy, and they don't understand why they have all this time, because we already have benefits and time off. Like, what are you working on? But that's the real work of the job.
I don't know if you've ever seen me do this one. So I had to speak last week and did a session on workforce planning, and some of you may have seen me do this. I do a thing around Dancing with the Stars as an example of workforce planning, because I wanted to be approachable, right? It's absolutely like completely accurate. ABC, to me, obviously uses frameworks of workforce planning and how they put this show together, honestly. And there's math and all kinds of stuff, right? So I did this last week, and it had been a while, and I'm watching all these HR practitioners. And I'm like, what is the matter? Why are your faces like this? First of all, I never heard of workforce planning, was what some people shared. I have other people who are like, I've heard of workforce planning, but I thought it was the same as like recruitment, right? Or isn't it the same as succession planning? And you're like, not the same. Like, are there components that'll overlap? Or part of it, yes, but it's not this. Yeah, don't know anything about this. And you just used math.
Right.
I was told in human resources I don't have to do math. And I'm like, oh.
That's why I got here.
Right. Help me, Jesus. And it's fascinating to me, because if we start talking about things here like capacity, if you don't have an appetite and access to tools that will help you measure, then it will always be an uphill climb for you as an HR practitioner to sit with finance and leadership and say, here's what we need.
That's
because
right.
You can't really speak to why. You have nothing to offer other than what happens. They all feel overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, just write your own death warrant, because if that's all it's based on, they're going to look to get rid of you.
That's right. And you're not doing your job.
You're not. Oh, everybody feels badly. Well, guess what? I feel badly. So now what you're going to do for me? You're going to hire another CEO to sit with me. And so we'll have two CEOs because I feel badly. don't back yourself into this corner. Like, we've got to get really good at asking. Listen, ask good questions of your people.
Yeah.
That's
And
all.
we all need it. Look, Troy is asking on their LinkedIn. I need it on my LinkedIn so that the presentation, if you have a presentation of workforce planning that you can share that doesn't have all of your show notes and all of your doodads and do wikis, if you could send that, because it's there. I mean, people look at me like I have something on egg on my face, because I'll say, like, you can do, like, just put this in and put a YN to change colors, and then we can figure out, it can mix the, like, and they're like, oh, well, I don't have the software, nobody gives me the resources. I was like, you got Microsoft Office, you have the resources.
You have the resources. It's so funny you're saying this. I just talked to a client yesterday who had an employee who was like, I just decided to buy my own this, and then sent a bill to the company to ask for them to reimburse.
Stop. I don't, every week I know why people hire you every week.
And I was like, wait,
people.
why did she do that? Did she not know that she has access to this? Like, did things fall apart at onboarding? FYI, this person has worked at a company for a while, so it's not like it's a brand new person.
Mm-mm.
And so that bought it, and then the response was, well, we already have this. It's the same thing, a different brand, but it's the same thing. Oh, well, I didn't know, or I don't know how to use it well, or what have you. And you're like,
I can't. Somebody, listen. I try not to fall out. I had somebody ask me for some plan, like like they wanted to know my diversity plan, like what the diversity plan was. And I was like, first of all, if you want to know what we're doing this year, you could look at what we did last year. I'm just saying, like, if you really think, like, you can look
yes.
at. Number two, did you Google it? Like, I'm sick. Listen to me. I am sick of people. They have more access to more information than anybody on the planet. And they want to sit there. What, you want me, like, let me
Yes.
Google that for you?
Yes.
It's in more use now than I've ever had. You know the let me Google that for you. You can send it to you. Like, let me show you how to get this done. I can't. Do some research for yourself. P.S. Slack is searchable. I don't know about the Windows version, but Slack is searchable. Go to your SharePoint and search for it. Look in your emails and search for it, because none of this stuff is going to be new.
It's searchable. Teams is searchable. Microsoft is
Searchable.
searchable.
It's searchable. And because I feel like people try to do gotchas. Well, where did that happen? Or when did this happen? Or why did this become a priority? And so we really do have to help keep people in balance and making sure, some piece of where we might be responsible for that burnout, because we don't say, hey, I think we need to add 5 people to customer success.
I love you. Let me tell you the story. Once upon a time, there was someone who said, I didn't know about this. And the response was, oh yeah, you're in this email, or on Slack or Teams, you're in this channel. Everything got posted there. So and then the person says, I can't be expected to read everything. It's ridiculous. I'm so busy. Oh, no. You came in with one gripe, and now you're switching to a second. So what I'd recommend for you to do is step back out of this room, or let's get out of this video chat.
That's
and
right.
Let's come back in, decide on the thing that you want to bring up with me. We're not playing complaint roulette. We're not going from thing to thing. You came in at first to say you didn't know about something.
That sounds familiar.
Like every day. And let me tell you, this is why people hate me, because I'm like, I'm actually leaving this video meeting. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to decide what you want to complain about. I'm happy to jump back into the video chat, but let's start afresh, because you're changing topic.
And and that's not the reason I hate you. Like, I have other reasons. So, wow.
Yes. Don't talk to my executive producer.
And people, do not ask me. Do not come to me and say you didn't tell me to do that. Because I will find 50 receipts. I'm gonna embarrass you, and I'm gonna hurt your feelings.
And the looking it up, and we also have to be thoughtful. I'm going to balance it. I really am not a jerk. You want to balance it with, change your face. you want to balance it with truly that there are things that we do assume people know
That's
that
right.
we've
Let
really
me
not done
explain.
any work on.
Like,
We really do.
we do. And so it's like, again, I have to say, look, let me show you how you can search this. Let me tell you how. And for those of you who don't know that you can search Slack and it goes through every channel and
Yes.
go and put your name in there. You've been warned. You've been warned. Go into Slack, start by searching for yourself because every time your name comes up, you're going to want to make sure that you know that that's going on. And you want to make sure that you write it down so that you know that, because sometimes people say, oh, like, I love it when I just took 2 weeks off. And I came back and I was like, I looked at our company meetings and I looked at the leadership
Yeah.
meetings, and I sure did see my name. I looked at the transcript first, and then I Googled for my name for when my name was brought up during the conversation. And then I listened to the whole conversation because I want to make sure that those
Absolutely.
deliverables are there first and it's written down that I don't get distracted. I have severe ADHD. I get distracted if I listen to the whole meeting. So I write it down. But then I teach other people that's what I do. Maybe there's other ways of doing those searches, but to
But
me,
some people need to do that search because if you search Jackie and you see 40% of the time it's in the same context as the worst, you might want to know that
yeah,
that's what's being
if
talked
you don't know how to do that search, I can teach you how to do that search.
you may,
You do
you
your
may
name
want to
in
know that.
conjunction with fired within 3 words. You might want to know how to do that.
You may want to know that's being discussed.
That's right.
I had another conversation. This is all like, well, a potential client who said, "Can you all handle affirmative action plans?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And she said, "Our contracts require us to update those numbers every other week." And I said, "I'm sorry?" She said, "Yeah, we have to do affirmative action plan updates every other week." Every other week of what? The year? And she was like, "Well, that's what I was told when I started here." And I said, "Okay." Because she saw we were on a video call and she was like, why does your face look like that? And I was like, well, I've never heard of that.
Right.
And I don't know how there could be anything really helpful in updating these numbers every other week. How much turnover or hiring are you doing? Oh, and she was like, "Oh, we don't do very much. Our people stay because it's so." What are you updating every other week? I said, "Can I ask a question?" She was like, "Yeah." I said, "Have you looked at the affirmative action plan?" And she was like, "Honestly, not really. I just know someone needs to do it." I was like, "Okay, I'm not mad at you." I said, "Please don't think that's not what this is about. I said, even if we don't move forward,
Right.
can we, I'm happy to take 10 minutes with you in the future to kind of look at yours together, just so that you can understand why my face looked that way, because it would be really impractical to every other week update an affirmative action plan. By the way, that's not what the law requires, but
Right.
like,
You might have a difference, but I would be really curious as to what the benefit from that is. So
correct.
that's
But
why I want to spend the 10 minutes.
but here's the capacity part, right? Like, she's making sure that someone is fitting into their duties and responsibilities, something that is taking away from capacity we want them to be focused on, in order to review and notate every other week that I've looked at this, we've made the updates, if any. That's a waste of time, quite frankly, likely a waste of time. But you're making someone do this. They're adding it to their duties and
And what's the
responsibilities.
value and how does that align with the business goals? Like, that's
Yeah.
what I always say. Like, how does that happen? And I think it is understanding that this comes from a place of love, and it's helping the business to give accurate feedback about the work that you're being asked to do,
Yeah.
and whether you have the ability to do that. That's number one. Like, I feel like, especially when you're an individual contributor, it may feel like you're being tested, but I really just want to know if you can. And it's not a, did you get a new Stanley Cup? Who's been watching TikTok? Paycom. Paycom has been watching TikTok. I was like, is that a Stanley Cup? Sorry, distracted. It's cute.
Just want to say,
It's cute.
carry on, please.
So, as John was saying, because he always gets the cups, we should really look at
These kinds of cups. I'm sorry.
those.
I'm just want to be
Yeah,
clear.
and if I live in Waco, you can send it to John. He'll make sure it gets here. You should feel very bad for both.
Apparently, yes.
If they've been looking at our states, we're very stressed out. Please just send it. Just send it. But I feel like that's just really important to do the planning. And sometimes we forget of what our role is within the organization. And especially when times are tight, that is a value add to the full organization.
Yes.
And if it's not you, if you don't handle it, finance will handle it. And you have absolutely no business. They have absolutely no business figuring that out.
And I'm always, I want to be a champion for the discipline of human resources. Yes, Josh, it's not the Stanley Cup.
Everybody says that when I say that.
When we don't have the right perspective and the right data, the metrics, the things that we need, the right detail to go along with our perspective, we honestly give away our power to someone else who will pick that up and run with it.
That's right.
It will not serve you, right? You will be on the outs very quickly. And so when Jackye and I speak, like when we speak, I mean, I know you feel like this. When you speak confidently, you're not speaking confidently because you're cocky. It's because you've done the work. You've put the time in, the research, you've measured what needs to be measured, right? You've evaluated what has to be evaluated, and then you share confidently because that work was done. So that when somebody comes at you or comes at me and is like, you don't know, I'm so sorry. The receipts, let me bring out the research to kind of show you where we're getting this from. And I can also speak to the validity of the work, right? So if you talk to, and I'm going to give you a really practical example as far as capacity is concerned, if you're in retail and you decide to hook
capacity planning in retail,
right, and you decide to do your capacity planning and focus group interviews and trying to get a lay of the land, October, November of the year, what do you think retail's like in October and November, right? Like, are you going to ask any retail employee if they're busy? What are they going to tell you? Yes. Yeah, it's fourth quarter in retail. It's 75% of their annual revenue is in 3 months. So you think that they're not going to say I'm busy? Of course they are, because they are.
That's right.
Right. But what you want to look at is do it wisely, right? Is there validity? If I just come back to finance now and say, this, and this. I just talked to everybody. It's, Thanksgiving week, and this is what they told me. Well, yes, we're all living here at the store. We're all here 20 hours a day.
Well, the thing that gets me too, and if you have those, please talk to your diversity professionals and give them the capacity plan broken down by demographic. And if your DEIB person says they don't need it, tell them call me. Because that's what we're looking at. Who's getting? Where is that going?
I don't want to cut you off. I'm sorry, but I want to add this in here. If your DEIB person was just terminated due to a reduction in force, you need to find someone consultant-wise who can come in for this project. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
You especially do, because we're looking at that impact. And, there's heavy math. And I know that it's extra, but it's like we look internally, we're looking at the heavy math of where we're going. And then we also are evaluating that with performance reviews and seeing if all those things are there to make sure that it isn't off balance.
Yes. And where the work is getting trickled down to, right? Because in those numbers as well, I love that there are people that we know, so-and-so is the best. Every Christmas I buy her a bottle of wine just because she does some extras for me. Well, why is she doing your extras and this person's extras and that's person's? How did it happen to be that this particular person winds up being the net to catch all of the extras?
Yeah, friendly reminder. It's extra pay. It's equal pay for equal work.
Right.
And this person has to pick up all your gifts for the companies, for everybody. Yes. That's not equal work.
And then you got the nerve to give her your $9.99 bottle of wine and say thank you.
That's right. And gave him a public gift certificate. Thank you.
Thank you. You see this idiot, what he just wrote here as he is leaving? Steve.
Your bestie.
I need to go now because I'm busy.
Same.
We got to But the idea of, listen, I love this conversation. You are so smart. The idea you're the schmoopy. The idea of capacity, I just want from an encouragement standpoint, please don't let it overwhelm you. I know it's not easy. It doesn't happen in 5 minutes to figure it out. Honestly, we know. But I just think it's important to talk about because we still are dealing with companies that are laying people off. Their rifts are happening and or freezing any additional hiring.
That's right.
And so nobody may be leaving, but you're not adding. And so everyone's looking around saying, but you've got to do some work to help people understand contextually perhaps why hiring is being
And start with HR.
Yes.
Because you're going to find out in 5 minutes you are over capacity.
Yeah.
Do it for yourself.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're over capacity in HR, I'm going to give you a freebie. Here's the freebie. How's your HRIS? Y'all, right? There she goes, because she knows what I'm. First of all, y'all paid for something. I guarantee, I cannot tell you how many times, and I know we both have done this. I can't tell you how many times I've walked in and they're paying for 76.
Oh, yeah, but we don't use it. I've seen it before, but we don't use it. It's so hard.
Meanwhile, you're paying for it. It's in your budget as HR, and you want to go back now to finance and leadership and say, it's hard. We don't really use. I'm sorry, we've been paying for it for 24 months. What do you mean?
I had to tell somebody how much I pay on LinkedIn. You know, I love LinkedIn, and we use it and need it. But when you tell people how much it costs,
it's
they
not
look
cheap.
at you crazy. They look at you like it is not cheap, and it's so necessary. Like
it's so tough though.
But like, and some HRIS systems are, to me, if you show me your HRIS systems, it'll tell me how much you care about your people. It is my bias. Where I'm like,
no, but you're right. Because, and I would also say it tells me how much you really understand where you are in your understanding of capacity,
and what you understand about the journey right now in human resources and how it is evolved. Because not all the tools have evolved at the same rate.
I don't like to use the benefits admin module. I prefer to run around with my clipboard and enrollment forms and get everybody to do it. No. Sorry, no. But the people don't really seem. What are you going to tell me? You have an older population and they don't really know how to use the computer? Put it on Facebook. Watch how quickly they fill out that form. They know how to use stuff. Stop answering questions that aren't being asked.
I got a song. Hold on.
Oh, are you playing that one from last week, whatever that was? Oh.
I know y'all been getting into it, but I want to slow it down just a tad, because I want our young folk to know that when you add it all up, the cost of real love, it's not in the sneakers.
Listen, I'm telling you,
we're going to church.
That's what they used to play it every Mother's Day. Hold on, I don't know how much she's talking. This is what she wrote. Listen. Oh, my mom used to sing that to me. No charge. She wrote it. I'd be like, Mom, I need $50 because I need this thing. It's like, you know what? And for that dinner I just made you, no charge. I say it to my children. You know what? No charge. I'm just passing the trauma.
We both have lots of parental trauma. My parents, lots. They're so funny, but lots. My mom said all kinds of things. I'm like, you really shouldn't say that. Well.
And I have a mini me. Clay, like when people I grew my best.
I got you, because it's Olivia. For me, when I talk to Olivia, I'm like, stop talking like I talk.
That's right. So embarrassing. I walk into the room, they're like, oh, you're TJ's mom.
What's that supposed to mean? First of all, he's the sweetest child on
The
planet Earth.
sweetest. I know he's out with my executive producer doing work somewhere on somebody's yard or fence or something. So, you know,
Great job. What
I
a
loved
good
it today.
so good. Gosh, we have such good things. So
I
many.
know. By the way, we're glad. I hope you're joining us. We've been adding it to other resources, so I hope
Yes.
that that's been a benefit. And let us know in the chat or send it to us directly on what you want us to talk about, because every week we go through this.
Oh
What we
yeah,
don't talk about, and we just kind of go to the current topics. This was a good one.
this was great. You are so smart.
It's you schmoopy. Bye. Clink clink.
Have a great day, everyone.